If somebody tells you that they just got a new place, your first thought is, well, it isn't all that nice. If somebody tells you that they just got a new car, your first thought is, well, it's used, it's not new. If you have these kinds of thought processes, it's because you're bad mind. You have a problem. Hey sis, it's Courtney and I'm back with a little bit extra on this week's TMS Plus. What's that? What's that smell? What is that? It's your attitude. It's your attitude. And we're going to talk about it today. Today we are talking about, sis, your attitude stinks. And I know you're probably thinking, I know someone whose attitude stinks. No, today we're talking about you. You. I've had to deal with it. Renee's had to deal with it. All of us have to go through the reality of confronting our attitude. Because if we're going to be honest, one of the things that keeps people away from us, I'm talking about friends, sisters, partners, business and career opportunities, is our attitude. Some of us are too negative, too pessimistic, just too insecure. We reek of jealousy and we need to talk about it because everyone else is smelling the aroma, sis. Everyone is smelling the aroma. And just like BO, oftentimes we don't know we stink, but everyone else around us is suffering the consequences of our negligence, okay? When it comes to having a bad attitude, the biggest trap is thinking that is just how you are. It's how you think. It's just how you've been getting through life. And honestly, if you've ever noticed that people just don't respond to you well, everyone is just taking you wrongly, everyone is getting offended by what it is that you say, people just don't get you, it may not be them. It's not that they're too sensitive or they're just nitpicking at you. If you consistently get the reaction from people that they just don't want to be around you, they don't invite you to places, they don't want to engage in conversation with you, it's often because they see something in you that you're refusing to see yourself because you believe that it's just a part of who you naturally are. And yes, not everybody is going to take to your personality. You may not be everybody's cup of tea, but if somebody has ever highlighted to you that I just don't like the way that you talk, I just don't like the way that you view things, it's probably because you have an attitude problem. Now, we're not talking about being a bit weird or a bit quirky. What we are talking about is constantly having a mindset of negativity, constantly having a mindset of jealousy. And a lot of us women and people in general deal with it. If somebody tells you that they just got a new place, your first thought is, well, it isn't all that nice. If somebody tells you that they just got a new car, your first thought is, well, it's used, it's not new. If you have these kinds of thought processes, it's because you're bad mind. You have a problem. You have an attitude that is negative or that is jealous or just reeks of insecurity. And that's okay, but you need to pinpoint it. Why? Because like I said, it can oftentimes block good things from coming into your life. People won't want to stay around you or share nice things with you or share good news with you if you are constantly negative, if they feel like you are bringing a big gray cloud around their days of sunshine. And this is something that a lot of us need to confront within ourselves, that it is not a part of our character that we should allow and take lying down. This isn't just a part of who you are, or it's not entirely who you are. It could be a learned behavior, or it just is something that you need to work on, and that's what we're going to get into. So how do you know you have a bad attitude? Well, firstly, self-awareness is key. You have to pay attention to the thoughts you have, the feelings you have, and the responses you have to people's news, people's actions towards you, or any suggestion that anybody gives you. One of the biggest ways to catch if you have a bad attitude is to be looking for it in the first place. Look at whether you are an optimistic person or are you a pessimistic person. You have to be aware of your actions and your feelings towards things even before anyone has the chance to point it out to you. It's always better to G-check yourself before somebody G-checks you. When it comes to dealing with a bad attitude, you may not even be doing it on purpose. You may just be used to the way that you think and the way that you say things. However, you have to pay attention to how these things will be perceived. We are living in a world where perception really is everything. People will offer you or deny you opportunities based on their perception of you. And before anyone really interacts with your talent or your intellect, they will have an interaction with your personality and your attitude. attitude. So you have to think about, how is what I'm trying to communicate going to come across? How do I effectively communicate what I'm thinking in a way that doesn't sound too negative, but yes, it's still honest, still reflects my personality, still allows me to be my true self, but doesn't offend anyone. I know that a lot of people, criticize our society that we're living in today about being politically correct and, having to kind of censor and police yourself, or people being too sensitive. But one thing that you do need to have in mind is other people's feelings when you're talking to them. Yes, some people may be hurt by what it is you have to say, but as long as you know from within you that you have done everything you can to communicate clearly, effectively, compassionately, and also in whatever semblance of positivity you can, how they react is really not your business. But as long as you can assess yourself and, like I said, be self-aware enough to know, I am trying my best to communicate in a way that doesn't hurt anybody, that isn't malicious. As long as I can convey my heart on an issue, people should be able to get that I have a positive attitude. So how to improve your attitude? Number one, become more optimistic. Pessimism is something that could naturally be a part of the way that you think. Thinking and being a realist and trying your best to at least balance out the pros and the cons and look for where things could go wrong is not a bad trait to actually have. However, if all you can do is see the negatives about a situation, if all you ever see when someone makes a suggestion at work or within your relationship or within your friendship is where it could go wrong, you may be suffering from a pessimistic mindset. And one thing that is necessary if you are going to be ambitious and if you are going to drive closer towards your goals in leveling up, becoming a better person and improving your relationships, is you need to have faith for these things. You need to have a belief that things will actually get better. And if your mindset and your reaction and your immediate reaction to things is actually this is going to go wrong and this is all the potholes where it could go wrong and this is probably where we're going to end up and it's a negative place, you are stopping yourself from really seeing the beauty in what it is that somebody is suggesting to you, telling you, and the positive possibilities that it could entail. So get rid of that pessimistic mindset. Be realistic, 100%, but realism sits in between pessimism and optimism. But if you do want to challenge a negative mindset, lean more towards having an optimistic perspective on life. At my first internship, one of the main feedbacks that I got was I was a great, valuable part of the team. However, I had a negative outlook on things. And what was highlighted to me was that anytime there was a suggestion for the team, anytime we would try to move forward with a new campaign or on a new project, I would immediately highlight all the places where it could go wrong, all the weaknesses in our team, all the things that we needed to improve on. And whilst it was good to know where we could strengthen ourselves and get better, it wasn't great to approach things off the bat with that negativity. So one thing you really need to do is find a way to turn your pessimism into productivity. It was good that I was able to see the potholes and the possible traps that we could fall into as a team and as a company. However, if I didn't give a productive answer and solution to those pessimisms, I was just coming across as negative. I was coming across as a Debbie Downer, and no one wants a Debbie Downer on their team or in their business. And so in order to turn your pessimism into productivity, you need to come with actionable solutions that will allow you to approach the situation with a more controlled and positive outlook. Yes, it could go wrong here. Yes, it could be stronger in this area, but what are you going to do to make it better? Or are you just pointing out the negativity? Are you just pointing out the flaws in order to be the one that called it out? Or are you going to be a valuable member to this team, this relationship, this friendship, and this situation? In order to communicate your opinion, people will only listen if they feel as though you actually care about them in the first place. And so take the opportunity to establish with somebody, I actually care about you. I do care about your advancement. I care about the success of this project, this relationship, whatever it may be. And I just want to let you know that these are my concerns towards it, but that's just my opinion. I still believe that there is room to work on it, and also you can agree to disagree with me. A lot of us don't want people to disagree with the things that we say. So instead we state them as if they are fact. But really and truly, your opinion is your opinion, and you should communicate it in that way. And lastly, be mindful. Don't speak to people in a way you wouldn't want to be spoken to. It's that simple. If you think about what it is that you're about to say before you say it, and you think, if somebody was to say this to me, it would actually cut me quite deep, then it's best that you probably don't say it, or you find a different way to say it. And yes, you may have tough skin, but most people are probably not built like you. You may have gone through a series of relationships, or you may have been raised in a way where people can talk to you harshly and you just take it. But it doesn't mean you should go into the world and require people to develop such a tough skin, especially when it's really rooted in dysfunction and not strength. It's not healthy. And so in order for you to be able to communicate effectively, start thinking about the way you would like for people to communicate with you, and really deal with whatever ideas you have around communication. If you have experienced a lot of negative talks, negative self-talk, or in people dealing with you, people have been negative with you, deal with that deep-rooted pain and those deep-rooted responses that have caused you to develop that quote-unquote tough skin. If you've been exposed to that over and over and over again, you can begin to normalize that, but it's not normal, and you can actually end that cycle. So be mindful in your communication with people, in your communication with yourself, and be mindful of the way people speaking to you actually makes you feel. So we hope that this video has helped you think a little bit more about your attitude, because we don't want you blocking your blessings. We don't want things to come and move right past you because your attitude stinks. It will keep so many good things away from you. But until next time, sisters, we will be back with some more on TMS Plus and the podcast. So be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing from us over here. And of course, like, comment, and share this video with another sister. I mean, she may think it's shady that you're sending her a video about bad attitudes, but she may need it. It's out of love. It's out of love. And in fact, you may need it. So we will talk to you very soon. And as always, you already know the deal. Keep glowing and growing.